Figures of speech of the ball poem. What is the boy now who has lost his ball? The figure of speech is interrogation. A question is asked not for the sake of an answer, but for poetic effect. It is also alliteration. The sound of consonant H, her, is repeated in the words has and his. Next, what is he to do? The figures of speech are interrogation or rhetoric. A question is asked not for the sake of an answer, but for poetic effect. Repetition. The word what is repeated for poetic effect. It is also internal rhyme. The rhyming words to and do are used in the same sentence for poetic effect. Next, I saw it go merrily bouncing down the street. The figure of speech is personification. The inanimate ball is given the human quality of merrily bouncing. Next, and then merrily over, there it is in the water. The figures of speech are personification. The inanimate ball is given the human quality of merrily bouncing. Exclamation. An exclamatory form is used for poetic effect. Alliteration. The sound of consonant th is repeated in the words there, the, then. Next. No use to say, oh, there are other balls. The figure of speech is litotes. A negation is used to convey the positive meaning that it is useless to say that there are other balls. Exclamation. An exclamatory form is used for poetic effect. Next, an ultimate shaking grief fixes the boy. Transferred epithet. The adjectives ultimate shaking have been transferred from the boy to his grief with which he is closely related. Next, as he stands rigid, trembling, staring down. The figures of speech are internal rhyme. The rhyming words trembling and staring are used in the same sentence. Alliteration. The sound of consonant st is repeated in the words stands and staring. Oxymoron. The opposite words rigid and trembling are used to convey a new meaning. They are used together. Next, all his young days into the harbor where his ball went. The figures of speech are transferred epithet. The adjective young has been transferred from the boy to his day with which he is associated. It is also repetition. The word his is repeated for poetic effect. It is also metaphor. There is indirect comparison between the childhood of the boy and the ball. The point of comparison is that they are lost. Next, I would not intrude on him. The figure of speech is litotes. A negation is used to convey the positive meaning that I would leave him alone. Next, a dime another ball is worthless. The figure of speech is hyperbole, an overstatement that another ball has no value. Next, Navi senses first responsibility in a world of possessions. The figure of speech is epigram. It is a pointed statement that the loss of the ball teaches him the meaning of what it feels to lose one's worldly possession. Next, people will take balls will be lost always, little boy. The figures of speech are repetition. The words will and balls are repeated for poetic effect. Alliteration, the consonant sound b, is repeated in the words ball, bee, and boy. The figure of speech is also apostrophe. Direct address is made to the boy who does not respond. Next, and no one buys a ball back. Money is external. The figures of speech are alliteration. The sound of consonant B is repeated in the words ball, back, and buys. Litotes. Negation is used to convey a positive meaning that one hardly buys a ball back. Next, he is learning well behind his desperate eyes the epistemology of loss. The figures of speech are transferred epithet. The adjective desperate has been transferred from the boy to his eyes, with which he is closely related. It is also synecdoche. Part I stand for the boy. It is also alliteration. The sound of consonant H, her, is repeated in the words he and his. Next, how to stand up, knowing what every man must one day know. The figure of speech is alliteration. The sound of consonant K is repeated in the words knowing, know, and the sound of M is repeated in the words man and must. Next, and most know many days how to stand up. The figure of speech is alliteration. The sound of consonant M, is repeated in the words most and many. Thank you friends for watching. See you in the next lesson.